Hello from Helping to Heal, a Minnesota natural therapies clinic. I'm Charles.
And I'm Mira. Shall we tell our viewers what we do here?
Okay. Our two-story clinic and wellness center is in Tracy in the southwestern corner of Minnesota, way out in the boonies, USA. Therapy rooms, library, sauna, and retail store are on the main floor. The second floor is for exercise such as yoga, Zumba, and Tai Chi. Our web is helpingtoheal.us. The phone is 507-629-3900.
How long has it been since we've been helping to heal people here?
About 12 years. You know, when we first started, our neighbors wondered if we were in the right place. What are you doing here? They would tell us. Some of them came from California and they were acquainted with what happens in California, but this stuff in Minnesota?
We should talk about some of our services.
Okay. To start with, Josh and Alicia do massage. Sore muscles massage for folks in sport, massage to speed recovery from surgery, and sometimes massage just for feeling better. Massage is also helpful for moving the poisons out of the body.
Hippocrates said that everyone should have a daily massage.
And I agree. Massage is beneficial for all ages, and so affordable that many clients have a massage several times monthly. Also available is an inexpensive far infrared two-person sauna. It takes just a half hour and is also very good for detoxing. Body toxins may be a major factor in cancer and autoimmune diseases, and there's another very important benefit for saunas.
And what is that?
Cancer cells do not do well under high temperature conditions. So if the tumor is close to the surface, as with breast cancer, say, then it may be possible to treat the cancer cells without overheating the body, and so give the body an advantage in healing the cancer. Ron Mann of Marshall, local Vietnam vet, cured his cancer using sauna and visual imagery. He was diagnosed in 1991 with only a 1 chance in 100 of survival. But 3 months later, he was found cancer-free and has been cancer-free ever since. We've put his story on YouTube.
Let's tell our viewers how the abilities of the mind can be used to treat cancer.
Okay.
Do I detect another story coming on?
I guess. This was in the early 70s when I first read of the work of Dr. O. Carl Simonton in treating cancer through visual imagery. Dr. Simonton was an Air Force radiation oncologist, someone who treats cancer with radiation, who began to use visual imagery techniques much like those used by successful salesmen and star athletes.
And what happened?
Well, for those patients who practiced daily with powerful imagery, the results were very helpful. You can read about the Simontons' work in the 1970s classic, Getting Well Again.
But medically, how can mental pictures influence the cancer healing?
Well, Mira, what we know is that our mental attitudes can powerfully affect the strength of our immune systems. And we know from biofeedback studies that we can train the mind to be very selective in what it does, even to the point of firing just one single muscle fiber. So in their clinical work, the Simontons trained the cancer patients, first of all, to relax, and then to picture the cancer cells as being very weak, but the immune system cells as being very powerful.
The visualization you're describing sounds as though it could be even more effective with the use of hypnosis. Tell us about hypnosis you do at Helping to Heal.
Hypnosis is a very important tool. We use it for weight loss, we use it for quitting smoking, and for therapies in general when we need it. Whenever the therapy can be improved through the patient's dedicated focus to what's happening, then hypnosis can be helpful.
Is this like stage hypnosis?
Well, there is no clucking like a chicken, if that's what you're talking about. Medical hypnosis allows the patient to relax deeply. At that point, the hypnotherapist can, with the patient's prior permission, remove habits and practices which are not helpful, such as excess weight or excess eating, and replace them with healthy habits. The patient may also be able to direct his body's healing abilities to perform certain tasks within the body, such as, for example, reducing his response to unnecessary pain, or becoming more sensitive to certain body cues, such as glucose levels. The body has the capabilities of a very sensitive and fast computer, so that whatever a sophisticated electronic circuit can do, the brain plus hypnosis or biofeedback can do as well.
Would you use hypnosis to treat fears, for example?
This could be done, although there's a favorite tool we like to use, which is faster than hypnosis for many conditions and can save the patient money. It's called EFT.
EFT, what do the letters stand for?
They stand for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's a series of techniques, actually. It's a special, simple form of the new field of energy psychology, somewhat based upon Chinese medicine.
Another story?
Here goes. The credit for the beginning of this whole field goes back to a California psychologist by the name of Roger Callahan. As he later related the story, he was working in his home office with a woman, well, we'll call her Mary, for an intense fear of water. It seems that her fear was so intense that whenever she even thought about a body of water bigger than a bathtub, she would get really sharp pains in her stomach. Well, one day, as she was droning on about her fear, and they'd been working apparently for many months about this, Dr. Callahan tried a simple experiment. He finger tapped gently on a certain acupuncture point just below Mary's eye, right here. And he just took a couple of seconds to do it. And a few seconds later, she exclaimed, "Dr. Callahan, I don't know what you did, but I don't have those intense rumblings in my stomach anymore." Well, Callahan had probably heard things like this before in working with her over several months, but he took Mary to his backyard swimming pool to check it out, just as he had done many times in the past. This time, however, instead of hanging back, she was tripping on ahead. She wanted to get to this huge body of water that had been so fearful for her in the past. She immediately went to the shallow end of the pool, and she leaned down, splashed water in her face, and then she went over to the deep end, sat on the edge, kicked her feet in the water. It was obvious that she'd lost that fear. And Callahan was now afraid that the poor lady was going to drown because she didn't know how to swim, never learned. But she said to him, "Don't worry, Dr. Callahan. I'm not stupid. I know I can't swim, but I have lost my unreasonable fear of water."
Just with that simple 5-second tapping with your fingers on that acupuncture point.
Yes. Callahan found out later that for about 25% of the patients who came through his door with one fear or another, simply tapping on that one point brought them permanent relief. And then he added a number of other acupuncture points, typically above the chest, upper body, face, to that, and was achieving something like a 95% success rate.
So this is what led to the simplified version of EFT.
Yes. Gary Craig, who was a Stanford University electrical engineering graduate, learned about Callahan's success, took his class, simplified it, and went on to create what is now called EFT, probably the most successful and the simplest treatment for emotional issues that has ever been developed. I have used EFT with patients, several times daily for almost the last 10 years. And this stuff just works. I know I could count my failures on the fingers of one hand. It just really works.
And does it last? Are there any side effects?
As far as we know, first of all, the change is permanent. Now, to clarify, if you were to be treated, say, for a fear of mice running across your kitchen floor, and then maybe a year later, maybe you're sleeping out on the front porch and a mouse runs across your nose, then you might have to be treated again. But apart from that, it seems to be very permanent. And in the many years that EFT has been used by literally tens of thousands of therapists, apparently, we've never heard of one negative reaction. So we believe it has no side effects.
Does EFT help at all with the healing of wounds?
Well, that's interesting. Whenever you have a physical condition like a wound or a sore back or something like that, chances are good there's an emotional problem that goes right along with it. And so what we will frequently do is to treat the emotional problem first. And then by then we've reduced the severity of the physical problem. And sometimes we work on problems which don't seem to have any kind of emotional connection at all. Sometimes we just work right on the physical problem.
Another story?
You guessed. This one happened, it was about 7 years ago. We had recently purchased a 2-story building that now houses the clinic. And Rachel, who was our massage therapist at the time, said, Chuck, you know, we're going to need a washer-dryer combo because when I do massage, okay, we get dirty sheets, we get blankets, etc. So I began searching, soon found a nearby lady over in Marshall who had a Maytag combo for sale. I met with her to make the purchase, gave her the check, and we chatted for a few minutes about the weather. Then we both had to get back to work, so we both arose to go. But I saw this intense expression of pain as she rose from her chair. And being naturally snoopy, I asked her about it, and she said, I fell on my basement stairs last night, and I hurt my tailbone, and I can scarcely walk. I could hardly get out of my car in the parking lot. It's awful. So I asked her, shall we see if we can fix it? Well, you know what she was going to say. She was in agony. So I took a few minutes to explain to her how EFT works. It seems a little weird. And then we did a few rounds. Maybe we took 15 minutes total to work on that lower back pain. Then I suggested that she get up slowly so as not to hurt herself and check it out to see if we did anything to the level of pain. And she kind of looked at me as though I were crazy because all we'd done is we did a little tapping for 15 minutes and that pain was so intense that she could hardly walk. But she slowly arose, got out of her chair expecting this pain, and then her facial expression changed. It's gone, she said. It is gone. The pain is gone. Now I kind of doubted this, but I thought, well, all right, let's check it out because we always like to check it. So we walked out of the door and had her step up and down on the curb. And indeed, if the pain wasn't gone, it was almost gone. It was just almost gone. Very interesting. So you can actually work on emotional issues and physical issues, regardless of whether there's an emotional part there or not.
No wonder you love to use EFT so much. Is there any side effects, or is it easy to learn?
Well, it turns out to be easy to learn. Usually, after I've worked with a client for maybe a half an hour in the office, by then they pretty well know how to do it. Now, we can also do it by telephone, also by email. Actually, EFT seems to work just about as well that way, and sometimes better because the client doesn't have to travel to come to the office. We even do it as a surrogate for very young children or for babies and even for animals. Works really well for animals because if an animal is hurting, they often don't like to be tapped on. So it's a real help for people who own horses or dogs or cats, that sort of thing.
Is there any limit to what EFT can do?
I suspect, Mira, that the limits are more in the mind of the therapist. I seem to have been able to make changes in the thyroid function and blood pressure of patients, and other therapists have been able to document changes even in the stickiness of blood platelets, which can be a serious problem for patients. It's quite the deal. This concludes a first look at helping to heal in Tracy. We'll have more stories to share about acupuncture, energy healing, mercury detox, thermography, and more. Thanks very much for allowing us to share this with you. We're here at helpingtoheal.us, phone number 507-629-3900 in Minnesota. Greg Devereaux of Tracy has done our video work and is available to help you at 507-629-4705 in Tracy, Minnesota. Thanks for being with us.